A dog belonging to a member of a very conservative Christian church died. The dog's owner was distraught. His dog was his best friend, and he hoped that the dog could be buried in the plot next to where he would eventually be buried. He decided that he would like a religious burial for his late dog, and he approached his minister. "Pastor, my dog is dead. Could there be a service for the poor creature?" he asked. The pastor replied, "No, we cannot have a service for an animal. They don't have souls, after all. But there is a Unitarian Universalist church down the road. Maybe they will do something for the animal. They'll do almost anything, after all." The man replied, "Well, Pastor, you think they will accept a donation of $250,000 in return for the burial service?" The minister paused a moment and responded, "Sweet Jesus, why didn't you tell me the dog was a Christian?" Money and religion are things that are often the butt of many jokes. But our church does not make a lot of money in the sense of having money that is to be stored away or to be going into a lot of different pockets. When we speak of profits, we usually use another spelling. Yet for this religious institution to thrive, it needs time, talent, and treasure from its members. This Sunday marks the beginning of the congregation's annual pledge drive. Today I will be sharing thoughts about stewardship and this congregation. And this really isn't as much a sermon as it is a talk. It is worthwhile to consider the reasons that this congregation exists and what it hopes to do. The opening hymn today began, "Gather the Spirit, harvest the power." Power. A Unitarian Universalist congregation is a powerful institution. The power of a Unitarian Universalist congregation is a power for. A Unitarian Universalist church does things that no other kind of institution does. It is a unique kind of place. Though it might not be evident every day. In fact, it might be easy to take for granted. Unitarian Universalist congregations can be powerful institutions. They speak for justice and model a different way of being, together, and a different way of being human. This congregation is that kind of place. Where else can one find a religious community based upon the idea that diversity of belief and identity are good things? Where else can one find a religious body that gathers to improve the world by commitment to social justice as well? Where else are children reared to accept religious beliefs and to focus on changing the world? This congregation is and has been that kind of place. When those involved in working to register voters by Zoom with the Pennsylvania group called UU the Vote met on Zoom this autumn, I noticed something. A higher percentage of this congregation's membership were involved in that project than I had ever witnessed in any other social action project in all but one of the 17 congregations I have previously been affiliated with. Even though I do follow some of the social action this congregation is involved with, it is difficult to recall all the things that you are doing. There are so many. This congregation also uses its power to challenge the divisions in American society. This church year, the new Multicultural Committee began its work in affirming diversity by examining prejudice in our society and working spiritually, actively, to change that which oppresses people. A service will be offered later this month addressing the themes of multiculturalism. We hope to offer a series of workshops on white privilege soon. The work of multiculturalism is more than one might imagine. We are working to build a world in which all are affirmed, empowered, and contributing. The United States is not there yet. Our Unitarian Universalist way affirms and promotes the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and this congregation is working toward that goal. The chorus of life, resounding as one. Unitarian Universalist congregations demonstrate their reverence for the chorus of life when they offer programming for children and youth. In our tradition, children are not indoctrinated in specific theological belief and are encouraged to learn about many religious traditions and practices. Children are encouraged to explore and to find their own path. We do teach them about the principles and purposes as ethical guides. Roughly stated, we believe that each and every person is important, that all people should be treated fairly and kindly, that we should accept one another and keep on learning together, that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life, that all persons should have a vote about things that concern them. We believe in working for a peaceful, fair, and free world, in caring for our planet, Earth, the home we share with all living beings. These are ethical guidelines, and that is what we teach. We are currently planning for a religious program for children, and I've identified children in the congregation who might want to participate. Having a multi-generational presence in congregational life is important to many of us. When I joined the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga, the first church I joined, one of the many appealing factors in joining as a 20-something was that I could sit at church events and to talk to someone who was 90 years old one moment, and next, someone who was 4 years old. One of the aspects of religious community is the opportunity to interact with different generations and to care about everyone. This congregation's journey with a decline in the programming for children is not unique. Almost every Unitarian Universalist congregation is experiencing this. Before I interviewed with your congregation for this position, I was interviewed by 2 other congregations for their ministry positions. Both congregations were experiencing declining children and youth attendance. Both asked me what I would do to reverse the issue that is affecting not only Unitarian Universalist congregations, but the entire spectrum of organized religion. They seemed to think that I and other ministers were sitting on a secret plan that our denomination did not know about. And our denomination does not have any answers to this either. But we were just waiting for a congregation to hire us so that we could share it. I thanked your ministerial search committee for not asking me what I could do about rescuing religious programming for children. Something, however, will be offered for young persons this year or at the beginning of the next church year. That is in the plans. We have identified potentially 5 children who are interested. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. One of the goals for the remainder of the church year and perhaps into the next church year will be to assess the congregation's building needs and seek out another place more conducive to your ministry. The Lehigh Valley Active Life Center has been a good place to land for a while, but is not the best place for the kind of ministry that you want to pursue. Your voice will be important in this planning and search process. Later this month, the board will present the goals for the developmental ministry. that will begin in August. These will direct what the congregation will be working on over the course of the next few years. Planning for development and ministry and hiring a developmental minister, starting programs for children, seeking a new location for your shared ministry, and beginning a multicultural ministry. As I looked at this, what I wrote, all I could think of, I really should have told you not to work so hard. Maybe I should have told you that we were doing too much for one church year. If you're not able to be involved in things in the past 5 months, it might seem that not much is happening, but that perception would not be true. Those who are planning for the future here are working very hard. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. While we are planning for the future, seeds for the sowing are laid in store. The church is still doing the things that it does regularly. We gather for Sunday services with many different topics. The choir practices, the church communications are still going out. The minister and the pastoral care committee members reach out to those who need help. The committees are keeping the church going and actively ministering to those in the congregation and social action in the wider community. Breakfast Forum still provides diverse program before the traditional Sunday service. Regularly monthly potlucks will be happening again sometime in the near future. You will gather as a community in compassion, hope, and strength. So much goes unseen. All committees meet by Zoom these days. The choir practices at a member's home. 3 years ago, the church's activity was obvious. Were one to walk into the previous building on a weeknight, one would have heard the choir practicing, perhaps in one room, known that a social action project was happening in another. In one place, a committee was meeting, and another, a rental organization, was doing something else. The work of the congregation was obvious. It is still happening, but in different ways, and some of those are unseen by the majority of members. There's a lot of ambition and a lot of planning for movement in this congregation. This church has been and will be a community where Unitarian Universalism is lived in the Lehigh Valley. It is still a community that considers new and different ideas, a community that works for a more just and freer society, a community of people who gather sometimes without agenda, just to be together. This congregation needs your support. Members are working hard to plan a better future and to sustain the different ministries that make life good. This is a pivotal year in the life of this congregation. And so much will happen only if the congregation has the means to live its ministry fully. There is no other religious community in this area like the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Lehigh Valley. This is a congregation that embodies hope for a better future. This is a congregation that cares about ideas and about the larger world. This is a congregation where I hope you feel you belong. In closing today, this is a reading from a sermon by John Wolfe. John Wolfe was a minister of the All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. During his tenure, it was the largest Unitarian church in the world. He writes this about belonging to a congregation. There is only one reason for joining a Unitarian Universalist church, and that is to support it. You want to support it because it stands against superstition and fear, because this church points to what is noblest and best in human life, because it is open to women and men of whatever race, creed, color, place of origin, or sexual orientation. You want to support a Unitarian Universalist church because it has a free pulpit, because you can hear ideas expressed here which would cost any other minister his or her job. You want to support it because it is a place where children can come without being saddled with guilt or terrified of some celestial peeping Tom, where they can learn that religion is for joy, for comfort, for gratitude, and love. You want to support it because it is a place where walls between people are torn down rather than built up. Because it is a place for religious displaced persons of our time, the refugees from mixed marriages, the unwanted freethinkers, and those who insist against orthodoxy that they must work out their own beliefs. You want to support a Unitarian Universalist church because it is more concerned with human beings than with dogmas, because it searches for the holy rather than dwelling upon the depraved, because it calls no one a sinner, yet knows how deep is the struggle in each person's breast, and how great is the hunger for that which is good. You want to support a Unitarian Universalist church because it can laugh, because it stands for something in a day when religion is still more concerned with platitudes than with prejudice and war. You want to support it not because it buys you some insurance policy toward your funeral service, but because it insults neither your intelligence nor your conscience, and because it calls you to worship what is truly worthy of your sacrifice. There is only one reason for joining a Unitarian Universalist church: to support it. May your support strengthen the work of this congregation and give you peace and joy. Please give to the best of your ability so the church can prosper and your dreams may become real. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.